Hey guys, welcome back to another family food prep video. This week I have some really delicious recipes to share. I made a really yummy summer hummus recipe that I think you guys are going to love. I also made some Italian bread. I have a couple of freezer breakfast ideas which are also very healthy. So I think you guys are really going to love these recipes. Definitely stay until the end if you would like to see all of them. And if you're new here, consider hitting that little red subscribe button. I would love to have you. I do tons of cooking videos on my channel, pretty simple recipes. I'm a mom, I'm busy, so I try to keep things pretty simple on my channel. So if that is something that you're interested in, definitely go ahead and hit that little subscribe button. I would love to have you. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into all of these recipes. To start off, we're going to be making this super easy hummus recipe. You can pull it together in about 5 minutes, which is great. You're just going to start off with this can of chickpeas or garbanzo beans and just go ahead and get those drained off. And you're actually going to save the juice from the can and just set that aside for later. And then just dump all of those beans right into either a blender or a food processor with a couple of cloves of garlic. And then you're also going to need the juice of about half of a lemon, or you could use about a tablespoon of the lemon juice from the bottle if you don't have any fresh on hand. You're also going to need about a tablespoon of olive oil in there. For seasonings, you're going to need a 1/4 teaspoon of paprika, as well as 1/8 teaspoon of ground cumin. For salt and pepper, I used about a 1/4 teaspoon of each, but you could definitely do that to taste if you prefer. And then you're also going to take that juice that we set aside earlier that was from the can, and you're just going to add that in there until you get the consistency that you want. Like I said, you can either use a blender or a food processor, and you're just going to get all of this blended together until you reach the consistency that you like for hummus. You can either leave it on the thicker side or the thinner side. I did somewhere in the middle, and it was about the same consistency as the hummus that you would get from the store. And then I just went ahead and stuck that right into a little glass storage bowl. These are ones that I get off of Amazon and I really like them. I can link them down below for you guys if you are on the hunt for some really nice glass storage bowls. They work really well. We ate this hummus for the next couple of days and it was super good. It was really, really flavorful. We just paired it with some fresh veggies. I loved it with peppers. Even my son really, really liked this. My husband is not a big hummus fan and he said it wasn't bad. So I mean, take that with what you will, but I thought it was pretty good. It had just a hint of spice to it, and I chopped up all of these veggies to go with it, and they were just in the fridge ready to go for whenever we needed a little snack. So we served it with cucumbers, we did some red peppers, as well as some baby carrots. It was a really, really good summer snack to make, and also a pretty healthy one. So that is what I'm doing here, is just chopping up all of the veggies to go right with the hummus. But this was a really, really good recipe. I really think you guys will like this one. Definitely let me know if you try it because I was really impressed. It had a ton of flavor in it. Next up, I'm making this super delicious Italian bread recipe. I've made it before and it's a super good one. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. So I'm making this in my KitchenAid, which of course you can do this by hand, but I am just adding in 1 package of yeast. This is just active, dry, regular yeast, mixing that with 2 cups of warm water, and then I let it sit for about 5 minutes. After your yeast mixture is nice and bubbly, you know your yeast is working, you're going to go ahead and add in some more ingredients. So you're going to add in 3 cups of just regular all-purpose flour. You're also going to need 2 teaspoons of salt, as well as 1 teaspoon of just plain old table sugar. And then I just attached my dough hook and I beat this together for right around 3 minutes until everything was kind of starting to combine together really well. And then make sure you scrape your sides too so nothing is stuck to the bottom of your bowl. And then you're going to go ahead and add in the rest of your flour, which is about 2.5 cups. And then I kneaded this in my stand mixer for probably right around 5 minutes. As you can see, it formed a nice dough and it was the right consistency, no longer sticky or anything. So once that was ready to go, I'm just coating a glass bowl with a little bit of olive oil and making sure that's really well coated. And then I'm gonna stick my dough in there and make sure it's coated in the olive oil. And then you're just gonna cover this up with a towel and let it rise in a warm area for about an hour until it has completely doubled in size. So now we're moving on to where it has doubled. So I'm just gonna make this into some smaller loaves. You can definitely do bigger ones if you prefer that. But we actually use this for subs a lot of the time, or we'll make this for toast, and we just kind of like these smaller loaves. So of course you can do whatever shape you prefer, smaller, bigger, whatever is going to work. But that is what I'm doing here. I'm just shaping them into some smaller loaves. And then once those loaves are ready to go, you're just gonna cover them up with a towel again, and these are gonna rise for about another 30 or so minutes until they're about doubled in size. Once they have doubled, you're gonna go ahead and just take a knife and cut a couple of slits right in the top. I would say like 2 or 3, just depending on the size of the loaves that you make. And then once that's all done, you're just gonna pop those right into a 400-degree oven for right around like 20 to 25 minutes. You want the tops to be like nice and golden brown. And then this next step is optional, but I definitely think it totally makes these taste absolutely amazing. I like to brush the tops with a little bit of melted butter, and I think it makes all the difference. So you do what you want, but I definitely would recommend taking some melted butter and just brushing that right on top, and it makes this bread super delicious, especially when it's fresh out of the oven. I think I could eat the whole entire loaf. It's seriously so good, you guys. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and pop those right onto the cooling rack and let them cool completely. As for storage for these, I usually will just store them right in like a gallon Ziploc, and it works really well. This is a super delicious recipe. Next up, I'm going to be making these healthy breakfast sandwiches. They're super easy and they're super delicious, so I think you guys are really going to enjoy them. I'm just starting off with some turkey sausage. Now, this was my first time actually ever using turkey sausage. I was a little skeptical, but it honestly was really good. I definitely will use it again for a really good, like, healthy alternative, so I definitely recommend that. While that is cooking up, I'm just going to go ahead and get my spinach ready to go. So as you can see, I'm just kind of picking those stems off because I don't want any big stems in there. I just want to be left with like the leaf part. And then I'm just getting this chopped up really well. I probably did a good like 5 or so cups of spinach, which sounds like a ton, but you have to remember that spinach really cooks down, so it doesn't feel like it's too much. But you're just going to go ahead and get all of that chopped up and ready to go. And then over into my other bowl, I'm going to be cracking some eggs. I think I did about 9 of them on this day, and I actually ended up using these eggs for 2 different recipes. So this is really gonna stretch and it's gonna go a long way. I always like to give my eggs just a really quick mix just to kind of break up the yolks before adding in the rest of my ingredients. You don't want these eggs like whipped by any means, so I just like to break those up first. And then I add in a little slush of milk, probably like maybe a 1/4 cup or so, I would say. And then for seasonings, you can do what you want, but I do some garlic, salt and pepper, of course. And then I did some parsley as well as some onion powder. Just do all of that to taste to suit your preferences. And then you're going to add in all of that cooked turkey sausage. Like I said before, this was about a pound of that sausage, and I did really enjoy it. And then you're gonna dump all of that spinach in there. Now this is gonna look really thick, and maybe it'll scare you a little bit, but I promise it like all cooks together really well, and you're left with a really delicious breakfast sandwich. This is all just going to go right into a small casserole dish. I'm just spraying it with a little bit of olive oil and then dumping that mixture in there. You do want to try and pick one that like fits the amount of eggs that you are making. So this is going to cut into 6 pieces for me, and it's going to fit perfectly in breakfast sandwiches. And then I'm just popping those in a 350-degree oven for right around, I think it took like 30 or so minutes. Just keep an eye on them. And then in the last 5 minutes, when they're like all done cooking, I like to just add on some shredded cheese and let that melt right on there. And then after these come out of the oven, I do let them cool in the pan for maybe like 5 minutes or so, and then I actually will cut them into pieces. So you're gonna want to cut these into pieces that are gonna fit the size of your buns, whatever they are. So for me, I was using English muffins, so that's the size I was going for. But of course, if you're using bagels or something, just cut them to the size that you need them to be. And you're gonna let those cool off really, really well, because you don't want them to be too hot when you add them into your buns or whatever you're using. So here I'm just getting my wax paper ready to go, and then these are the muffins that I'm using. So like I said, they are whole wheat English muffins, but feel free to use whatever you want. I was just trying to go for something a little bit healthier on this day, and they tasted super good. I will definitely be buying these English muffins again. I feel like sometimes whole wheat stuff can be really strong, but I actually really enjoyed them. I really didn't notice that they were wheat in my opinion, honestly. So they were really good. I was really impressed. Literally all you do is take your English muffin, pop the egg in there. The cheese is already on there, so it's just one step. It's super easy. And then you're just gonna wrap these up in wax paper, and that's literally it for this recipe. It's super easy. When you're ready to make these, all you have to do is pop them into your microwave for like 1.5 to 2 minutes, and they're good to go. But you just store these right in your freezer, and you have a really easy meal for whenever you need one. This next recipe is a total favorite of mine. We're going to be making some freezer breakfast burritos. I wasn't even planning on making these, but I had some leftovers of that egg and spinach mixture, so I figured I would go ahead and definitely use it up. I didn't want it to go to waste. I did end up adding a few more eggs in there just because I felt like I needed a little bit more eggs in it for this recipe, and I just threw those in there and mixed it all together and cooked it through just like you would scrambled eggs. After those eggs are all the way cooked through, you're just gonna let them cool off. Make sure they're completely cooled before you assemble your breakfast burritos. And then I'm just getting my aluminum foil ready to go. That's what I like to wrap my burritos in for this recipe. And then literally all you need to do is take a tortilla. You're gonna put some of that egg, spinach, and sausage mixture on there with some shredded cheese. And then this next step is optional, but I love adding a little bit of salsa with this recipe. It's just like a super good way to add a lot of extra flavor, and it's actually pretty healthy. It's much healthier than like say adding ranch or something would be. And then you're just gonna wrap that up in the tin foil. When you are ready to make these, you're just gonna wrap it in a paper towel and microwave it for about 1.5 to 2 minutes. And that's literally it. These burritos are super good, super flavorful, especially with that salsa in there, and you guys are going to love them. I love these for a good, healthy, high protein option. I really think you're going to enjoy this recipe. And then you're just going to toss these right into a freezer Ziploc. They're already individually wrapped, ready to go. These are super easy for a really quick breakfast or even a lunch. It's a really nice high protein and filling option if you are in a pinch. They work really, really well, and we really love this recipe. I really think you guys are going to love them. Next up, I'm going to be making these super delicious chewy oatmeal raisin cookies. I know some people don't like oatmeal raisin cookies, but stick with me, guys. These are honestly so good. Definitely the best ones I have ever had. I'm just getting ready with all of the dry ingredients first. So I'm adding in 1 cup of all-purpose flour with about half a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/8 teaspoon of nutmeg, half a teaspoon of baking soda, as well as about 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then just get all of that mixed together. And then into the bowl of my mixer, I'm adding in a stick of butter or half a cup of butter, as well as about half a cup of packed brown sugar and a quarter cup of regular granulated sugar. And then you're just going to attach your paddle and mix this together for about 2 minutes. You want it to be really nice and light and fluffy. Once that's all mixed together really well, you're also going to be adding in about a tablespoon of honey. You're also going to need 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I did use the imitation kind. I'm sure the regular vanilla would be even better, but this is just all that I had on hand at the moment. And then you're also going to add in 1 egg and get all of this mixed together. I also will have this recipe linked down below. I will have all of the recipes linked down there for you guys, or I will write them out if I don't have an actual recipe for it. And then here I'm also adding in all of my dry ingredients. I did just gradually add those in there. Once that's all mixed together, we're going to actually be switching over to doing everything by hand. So go ahead and get that paddle or your mixer attachment scraped off and get that dough in the bowl. And then you're going to be adding in your oats. So for this recipe, we're going to be using old-fashioned oats. So these are the bigger ones. These are not the quick oats. You're going to need about 1.5 cups of those, and give that a good mix before adding in all of your raisins. Now for your raisins, you're going to need 2/3 cups of raisins, and just get all of that mixed together. Now you're actually going to want to chill this dough. The recipe said you can chill it for 30 minutes or you can go ahead and chill it overnight, and I decided to do it overnight because I wanted these cookies really nice and fresh the next day, so that's what I did, hence my change of clothes. This is actually the next day that I'm actually baking these cookies, and here I'm just shaping them into balls. I will say this dough was really hard from being in the fridge, so it was a little bit tricky to work with, but oh my goodness you guys, these cookies were phenomenal. Worth every second. This recipe was seriously so good, and that is saying something because I'm not even a big oatmeal raisin person, but these were for my dad and these are his all-time favorite cookies, and I tried out this new recipe and it was seriously so good. But I'm just getting these all shaped into balls, and then I'm actually popping these right into the oven. You're going to want these in a 350-degree oven for right around like 9 to 11 minutes, just until the tops are a little bit golden brown. You definitely don't want to over bake them, because after those 11 minutes you're going to pull them out and you're actually going to let them finish cooking on the pan, and that's how you get these really chewy and delicious cookies. Alright guys, that is going to wrap up today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed it and I gave you some really delicious recipe ideas to try out. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to leave it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you. I do tons of cooking on this channel, so definitely stick around if that is something that you are interested in. But that is going to be it for today's video. I will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!